What's up, everybody? So you're about to watch Into the Lion's Den, our look into how and why liberals think what they think. We are not nothing here at Neighborly Discourse if we are not intellectually honest. So you're about to watch the video, you're about to hear the podcast. I read a tweet from Charlie Crist, and I respond in a meme. So his tweet is, Governor DeSantis is the only governor in Florida history to shut down schools and lock down businesses. My response is, where are the fact checkers here? Why isn't this censored for misinformation? It is very well documented that DeSantis kept Florida open. Dems criticized DeSantis when he kept Florida open. Now they criticize him for the very little initial stay-at-home orders. The flip-flopping is absurd. So, I read tweets from people, my responses to people, back and forth, nothing crazy. And somebody, and I did this a few hours ago, and I let it sit, answered what was answered, and nobody really said anything after that. A few likes here or there, nothing crazy. And then as I was finishing the episode, editing it down, I refreshed the Twitter machine, and somebody had popped up and replied to that meme that I posted. And someone's comment on that, I live in Florida, and DeSantis did shut down businesses and schools. That has 17 likes. Now, it had 6 when I did this video, and 5 comments. The comments are me and this person, Bart, I believe the name is. We're going to go through that quickly. In the beginning of this episode, then you're going to watch the episode and see what we're talking about. So those are my comments. Chris said that DeSantis was the only one to shut down businesses and schools in history. I said it's misinformation. They criticized him, this, that, and the other. So here's where the back and forth began. The person wrote, I live in Florida, and DeSantis did shut down businesses and schools. My response was, initial stay-at-home orders. Then he opened us up very early. He was criticized for it. This is documented. The Bart person chimes in. Initial stay-at-home orders. So he did shut down Florida for a period of time. Got it. My response, yeah, your point. His response, as he's trying to do the smartest guy in the room thing by pointing out something without saying anything, in my opinion anyway. You claim this is disinformation. Clearly the only disinformation was your post. Now, between you and me and whoever can read, I said misinformation, not disinformation. To me, it's all one and the same, but let's be accurate for the sake of accuracy, for being intellectually honest. So, my response to him saying this is clearly disinformation was, okay, I see what you're saying. Are you really going to plant your flag on Chris stating the obvious, as if it was criminal to follow the rules sent down by the CDC and the federal government in the very beginning while we were learning in real time? Is this your stance? So I said it's misinformation that he shut down schools and shut down businesses, except for the initial orders. So his guy's like, well, it's not misinformation because regardless of the length of time, he did shut it down. So Charlie Crist is stating the obvious. Yes, he shut it down. He's the only one to do so as a negative thing. When we know the Democrats were clamoring for shutdowns way longer than what DeSantis did. So this guy is arguing on behalf of Charlie Crist that, yes, he did shut it down as a negative thing when he was following the rules of the entire government, the entire country, in the very beginnings of a pandemic as we're learning in real time. So I asked him, that's your stance? And his reply is, my stance is calling you out over your claim that this is misinformation when it clearly is not. I honestly don't care about DeSantis or Crist. My response, the definition of misinformation, false or inaccurate information, especially when it is deliberately intended to deceive. False, not sure, I haven't looked it up. Inaccurate, especially intended to deceive, however, is what was posted by Crist. I feel my statement is correct. So, I feel, was he the only one to ever do it in history? I didn't look it up. Was this inaccurate? Yeah, because you were stating this with intent to deceive per misinformation definition. We know he shut it down. You're saying as a negative thing. He followed the rules of the country, of the government, of the world to try to curb the spread. When he realized it was nonsense, he opened back up. So this, in my opinion, is misinformation. It was sent out to intentionally deceive because they wanted DeSantis to shut us down longer than what he did. So I stand by my statement that this is misinformation. And the person replied back, it is very well documented that DeSantis kept Florida open. Example A, he sent me an article. Example B, another article, DeSantis says schools will remain shut down for the rest of the year. Okay, you give me information. I'm all for it. My response, it hit in March. Schools were out in June. Again, initial stay-at-home orders. The rest of the year was only 3 months. So this guy is saying he shut down schools for the rest of the year. It was only 3 months. Again, initial stay-at-home orders. So then the article A he sent me, his response to that was, so then he did close down the state, resulting in the largest percentage of small business failures in the nation at 32%, as the article points out, and you admit. So not misinformation. So I clicked on his article, and you can see it here. Not the largest. Looks like all states took a hit. Also looks like some of the ones who stayed shut down the longest have the most loss. So when you look at this, him saying 32%, the largest hit in the country, Florida is 16 at 32.2, Georgia 32.3, Texas 32.6, Louisiana 33.2, California 35.9, Hawaii 29.5. 10 to 25. Michigan was number one with near 40%. Massachusetts, Alaska, Maine, Connecticut, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Illinois, New Mexico, all 35 and above. California, all 35 and above. So I sent this back to this person, quoting the article he sent me about misinformation, him saying it was the worst ever. Florida, the worst in the country. Clearly he got it wrong because per his article, misinformation. He lied. And I have not heard from this person again. And that was looking at this thing at 1:25 p.m. It is now 2:25. So it's been an hour. So now I'm no longer going to go back and redo this if he chimes back in at @N_discourse on Twitter. But again, we want to have the conversation. Not the liberal conversation where we bark orders at you and you listen or we tell you to shut up, you're wrong. I want to engage with these people. Neighborly discourse. Turn off your TV. Talk to your neighbors. We went back and forth. Nothing, nothing snarky, no nonsense. I feel I'm correct. He was giving me information, which again proved my opinion anyway. Initial orders. When he realized it was nonsense, he opened back up. So let me know if I'm right or wrong. Enjoy the rest of this video. Enjoy the rest of this podcast. Hope you guys have a great day. Into the Lion's Den. Here we go. So, what's up? This is our new segment, part 2, episode 2, segment 2, whichever, Into the Lion's Den. All right, Into the Lion's Den is something I do where I want to explore the liberal mindset, why people on the other side think how they think. So we're going in a local topic, very fresh in the mind, the governor debate of Florida, Charlie Crist, Ron DeSantis. I am focusing on one thing. I saw pieces of the debate and had stuff to do last night. Saw some highlights, saw some clips. DeSantis called him an old worn-out donkey. That was hilarious. Charlie Crist saying, say you're going to serve 4 years. Say you're going to serve 4 years. They want to make sure they can say, hey, he's running for president, he's a liar. All that silly nonsense. Because, once again, the Democrats show they have nothing to stand on, so they're doing name-calling and silly games. We've all been an employee. We've all got to management. Some get to CEOs, and then you keep moving. So what's the same as a governor? You know what I mean? Like you have your local Senate, or your local politics to like your neighborhood. Forgive me with the terms. Then you get to government. Then you want to go for the presidency. Like you're getting mad at somebody for wanting to further their career. You know what I mean? Like let's not get carried away. But that being said, we are talking about Charlie Crist and Ron DeSantis on one thing. Into the Lion's Den we go. One tweet I saw from Charlie Crist yesterday. So this was something that he talked about during the debate, and something I saw him tweet, and I wanted to check it out. So here we are, Into the Lion's Den once again. Charlie Crist tweet, Governor DeSantis is the only governor in Florida to shut down the schools and lock down businesses. So Charlie Crist tweeted this out yesterday, or last night. Governor DeSantis is the only governor in Florida history to shut down the schools and lock down businesses. So, my response to that was I took that clip, I took that tweet, I made it into a meme, it'll be on check it out on Twitter at @n_discourse. It'll be part of the video on YouTube and Rumble. I wrote, "Where are the fact checkers here? Why isn't this censored for misinformation? It is very well documented that DeSantis kept Florida open. Dems criticized DeSantis when he kept Florida open. Now they criticize him for the very little initial stay-at-home orders. The flip-flopping is absurd." So I'm going to read you that last part again. Dems criticized DeSantis when he kept Florida open. Now they criticize him for the very little initial stay-at-home orders. The flip-flopping is absurd. So I noted that in the beginning we had stay-at-home orders that affected the entire country, the entire world. DeSantis followed, as should he. He was giving a directive by the president, by CDC. In the beginning, you tried to do what was right. You trusted the information. As it came out, we knew it was nonsense, and DeSantis said as much. Protect the elderly, protect those that are sick, everybody else, live your life, right? This is what happened. And people criticized him left and right. I can't believe you did this. We did a video a few months back, Florida thriving under DeSantis, where we have articles comparing California to Florida across the board, nearly identical. One completely shut down, locked down, bankrupting businesses and making people destitute. And Florida, where they're flocking to Florida, tax breaks, open for business, no restrictions, nearly identical when it came to the health. Business-wise, Florida's booming. People were coming here. So go look that video up. It's one of our ND clips, Neighborly Discourse clips, thriving under DeSantis. So I put this out there. As of right now, I put it out this morning. We have 18 likes, a few reshares. So I got one response. No, what's absurd is the Republicans are currently running campaigns saying the Democrats shut down schools and businesses while Republicans stood for freedom, whatever that means, while the initial COVID response happened under a Republican president and many Republican governors. Again, the initial COVID response happened under a Republican president and governor. Exactly. When the information came out, as I put in my meme, in my statement, the initial stay-at-home orders, once the quote-unquote science started coming out, then people can decide what was nonsense and what wasn't. And DeSantis saw nonsense and opened Florida up. We were the first to do so, if not the first top three, we'll say, that opened up and got things back going. So this person, my response to this person was, you're kind of echoing my point. The initial stay-at-home orders were followed by everyone. Florida let up early while California, for example, stayed locked down. They were near identical across the board as far as health goes. Countless businesses moved to Florida because of open policies. So somebody here replied back, can you name these businesses that moved because of COVID? I sent an article. Let me see if it's on here. Why people are moving to Florida from the James Madison Institute. The Sunshine State has experienced massive migration from states like New York. Let me see read the headline here. I'm not going to read the whole article. The trend was exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, both because work from home craze allows employees to live in a different state rather than their employer, and general favorability for state aversion to lockdown restrictions. So I sent that article to somebody. They're saying, oh, show me the proof. I gave proof. Needless to say, that was the last comment from that person. Nothing else came. And I even put in there, you do also realize that Disney has decided to move 2,000 employees from California to Florida. Now, they've delayed that, I read, till 2026, supposedly, but they're moving here, or more of their headquarters. So, again, information, nothing snarky, no smart-ass remark, and I appreciate that from the person. And then someone else. I live in Florida, and DeSantis did shut down businesses and schools. So my reply, initial stay-at-home orders. Then he opened us up very early. He was criticized for it. This is documented. And then someone's reply to the initial tweet of he did shut us down. What was he supposed to do? Exactly. What was he supposed to do? The initial information came out. This is bad. Stay home. Curb the spread. He followed suit. When the information changed, he chose to change with it and open us back up. So that was one person's thought. Again, in the lion's den, in the liberal mindset, he did shut down. Okay. Here's another one. Someone on our side. Yes, he did, as well as the whole freaking country did. Yet he was the first to open back up after finding out the supposed medical experts lied to us. I live in Florida. I'm voting for DeSantis. Here's someone else. As a Floridian and a business owner, I can tell you schools and businesses were shut down. My response to this person, initially, with the first stay-at-home orders, he soon after lifted those orders. Florida has been open for business and schools as long or longer than anybody. And then I asked this person, how is your business doing? No response. No response. And again, I'm not going after these people. I'm not trying to give them crap. I'm trying to find out. I'm giving information. Have the conversation. We got a call on Neighborly Discourse the other day, a voicemail where somebody asked, if Trump gets back in and the economy rights itself, inflation goes down, will they, the liberals, will they see that Biden was the problem? My quick answer was no. And here, unfortunately, might be a case in point. I am telling these people the initial, not like I'm the authority on this, I'm telling these people the initial orders came to stay home. DeSantis kept people home. When everything got sorted out, he's like, go out and live your life. We're not staying home, okay? I've got five or six people telling me he did shut down. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm saying initially he did. When he realized it was nonsense, he opened it back up. And I keep getting the same copy and paste reply. He did shut down. So here's one comment. I live in Florida and DeSantis did shut down businesses and schools, the one I read before. It has 6 likes to it from random people. 6. Again, that's not a lot. But it's showing they're not thinking for themselves. They're not looking at the information. I sent one person an article about businesses moving to Florida. I tell people, I agree with you. He did shut down in the beginning, but can you agree he opened back up? The conversation stops. So to the person who asked that question, will they see it and recognize? No, they won't, because it's right in front of them. And they're echoing the same nonsense of one another. He did shut them down. Okay. But did he open it back up? Is Florida thriving? Are we right now the best state in the country as far as business, health, across the board? I'll say yeah. So these are how the liberals think. They don't pay attention to the facts. One guy echoed exactly what I said. And when I pointed it out to him, I got no more replies. And again, I didn't do this 5 minutes ago and then jump on and prove my point. These have been 2-3 hours ago. I sent an article. No one is saying anything. And I'm looking to have these conversations. And again, to this guy, a Republican president did say it. I'm not saying they didn't. But can you also understand that he lifted it before everybody else? And Florida got back in the swing of things before everybody else. And Florida is booming right now with business and everything. It's easy to complain when you have nothing to complain about. And what I mean by that is Florida's looking good. Steve and I talk about it all the time. We live in a Democratic stronghold, as Steve puts it, in Florida, our county. So people abortion is bad. Something else is bad. Okay, gas is bad too. But it's not that big of a deal. They don't live in a city where it's rampant crime, where it's rampant gun violence like Memphis, like Chicago. California's got some very bad pockets in it. They don't live in a place where there's actual problems, where gas is strapping single family homes because they can't afford to go places or do anything. Real problems. Here, where it's okay, limited crime, limited issues, you're focused on nonsense like abortion. Where the rest of us, we have to worry about gas and inflation and groceries and all these things that tie together. So people down here complain about nothing because in the overarching grand scheme of things, we're doing very good in Florida. So they're complaining about nonsense because they feel they have to complain about something. They feel bad saying, no, man, we're good. I'm happy. Yeah, things could be better. Yes, inflation needs to go away. Biden is ruining the economy. That's a story for another day. But for the most part, we are okay in Florida. And it's because our governor knows what he is doing. Look at Chicago. Lori Lightfoot is crushing that place horribly. Look at California. Their governor, he got recalled and people got nervous because they didn't know what to do and they let him stay and they're worse off than they were. Pending reports you read. So I'm just saying, guys, you don't need to be a Democrat or a Republican. You don't got to go to the voter's office and change your registration, your preference. You just can't vote for Democrats right now because they're doing everything wrong. All right? In Florida, in most places, they're running on abortion while inflation runs rampant, while we're near a world war. If their policies were good, they'd be running on those policies. Instead, they're running on nonsense. I understand abortion. I get it why it would be important to some people. But it's a small fraction of people that it affects. Gas prices affect everybody. Inflation, groceries, that affects everybody. If Putin goes to a nuclear war because Biden pushed him to do so, that's going to affect everybody. Abortion does not. If your policies are good as a liberal, as a Democrat, you run on those policies. They're not, so they're not. They're running on nonsense. That's Into the Lion's Den. Liberals are not paying attention to even the simplest things. When you even agree with them, they still don't understand that there's also life after agreement. You're wrong. I'm proving to you DeSantis is doing better. He opened businesses up, and they just stopped talking. I mean, come on. We say this all the time. Liberals, let's have the conversation. That means they want to bark orders at you and tell you what to do, and they want no rebuttal. Here, I'm trying to have a conversation, and I had 5 people just stop talking to me when I presented just one fact. They just stopped talking. Into the Lion's Den, we go in, we try to see what the liberals are thinking about, try to understand their side. Sometimes it doesn't always go so well. So that's it. Hope you enjoy. Like, share, subscribe. You guys have a great day.